Welcome back to The Quiet Drift. If you enjoy Willow's story, don't forget to subscribe to The Quiet Drift. You'll get a notification whenever a new episode is released.
May 23rd, 2026.
The late afternoon sun, still suspended above the distant western treeline, casts its long, golden fingers across the water of the cove. You watch as the light, a liquid sheet of gold, stretches from the narrow channel entrance, across the gentle undulations of the surface, and comes to rest, shimmering, against the weathered planks of the Myra's hull. Each tiny ripple becomes a momentary flicker of brilliance, 1,000 points of warmth dancing in unison. The air, cool and crisp, carries the unmistakable scent of the sea, a deep, briny tang mingled with the sweet, resinous breath of the surrounding pine forest. It is a scent that settles deep within you, familiar and comforting like an old, well-loved blanket. On the foredeck, Chester, an expanse of sun-warmed orange fur, is a study in quiet contentment. He is stretched out, long and utterly relaxed, his paws tucked neatly beneath him, his eyes mere slits of emerald in his contented face. The low, slantwise light catches the individual hairs of his fur, turning them to threads of burnished copper and deep russet, illuminating the small white patch on his throat that resembles a perfect, soft cravat. He seems to absorb the warmth directly into his very being, a small, purring engine of peace. The gentle creak of the Myra's rigging, a soft, rhythmic whisper against the still air, becomes a lullaby, a subtle accompaniment to the light's slow descent. High above, the unseen branches of the tall pines rustle with a barely audible sigh, a sound that merges with the distant, rhythmic shush of water against the rocky shore beyond the channel. A lone cormorant, a dark, sleek silhouette, perches motionless on the furthest outcropping of dark, salt-encrusted rocks, a sentinel at the cove's mouth. It seems to be carved from the very shadows, its stillness a counterpoint to the golden vibrancy of the light. You watch it unmoving, until your gaze drifts back to the way. The light now floods the small, sheltered space of the cockpit, painting the varnished teak a deeper, richer honey. The air itself feels imbued with a soft, golden quality, a warmth that seeps into your bones, easing any lingering tension from the day. This light, so particular to these late afternoon hours, has a way of slowing time, of inviting a gentle contemplation. Willow emerges from the cabin, carrying a small wooden tray. On it rests a steaming mug, its ceramic the color of unbleached linen, and a small plate with a thick slice of dark, crusty bread, still warm from the oven Willow tends inside. Her movements are unhurried, graceful, each action flowing seamlessly into the next. She wears a simple, homespun dress, the fabric a soft blue, and her dark hair is pulled back from her face in a loose braid. She notices Chester, stirring slightly as he feels her presence, and a soft smile touches her lips. She steps carefully over the combing and settles herself onto the long cockpit bench, facing west towards the fading light. Chester, now fully awake, stretches languidly, a long, slow arch of his back, before hopping down from the foredeck with a soft thud and settling himself onto the bench beside Willow. He nudges his head against her arm, a silent request for a scratch behind the ears, which she grants with a gentle touch. The bread, you notice, has a scattering of herbs on its surface, and the aroma, yeasty and savory, mingles with the ever-present scent of salt and pine. The steam rising from her mug is fragrant with the subtle perfume of chamomile, a calming balm in the cool air. Willow takes a slow, deliberate sip from her mug, her eyes closing for a brief moment as if savoring the warmth and flavor. Her gaze then drifts towards the cormorant, then to the distant line of the forest, softened by the deepening hues of the afternoon. There is a profound stillness about her, a quiet presence that seems to absorb the beauty of her surroundings without a need for words. You watch as she tears a small piece from the bread, offering it to Chester, who accepts it delicately, his rough tongue a quick, soft brush against her fingertips. The golden light begins its slow climb up the masts, leaving the deck in a softer, more diffused glow. The shadows lengthen, stretching across the water like fingers reaching for the opposing shore. A sense of profound peace settles over the cove, a hush that seems to deepen with each passing moment. The distant sound of a single gull cry, forlorn and beautiful, drifts across the water, carrying with it a faint echo of the vast, open sea beyond the channel. Willow takes another slow bite of her bread, chewing thoughtfully. Her eyes, the color of warm amber in the fading light, scan the horizon, then settle on the small, wooded island that rises from the cove's center, its dark trees now appearing almost black against the softer sky. It is a familiar sight, one she has seen countless times, yet there is a subtle shift in her gaze, a quiet curiosity that seems to linger. The island, holds its own secrets, its own whispers of untold stories. Her hand, as if drawn by an unseen thread, reaches for the small, leather-bound book that lies on the cockpit table, tucked beside a half-finished watercolor painting of the Myra at anchor. The book, no larger than her palm, is old, its leather cover softened and worn smooth by time and handling. Its edges are slightly frayed, and the spine bears no title, only the faint indentation of what might once have been an embossed design, now faded beyond recognition. It has been there for some time, a quiet presence, its secrets carefully held within its pages. You recall Willow's quiet decision from yesterday, the thought that had drifted into her mind just before sleep. That she would open this book, just one page. Now, in the soft, contemplative light of the fading afternoon, with the chamomile steam warming her face and Chester a warm weight beside her, the moment feels right. There is no urgency, no expectation, only a gentle pull of curiosity. She picks up the book, her fingers tracing the worn texture of its cover. The leather feels smooth and cool beneath her touch. She turns it over in her hands, as if weighing its history, its unspoken stories. The pages, you imagine, would be thin, perhaps brittle with age, carrying the scent of old paper and forgotten ink. She holds it for a long moment, her gaze still fixed on the island, as if seeking some unspoken permission, or perhaps simply gathering her thoughts. Finally, with a soft exhalation, she opens the book. The action is slow, deliberate, the gentle creak of the binding a tiny sound in the immense quiet of the cove. She does not immediately look at the words. Instead, her eyes linger on the texture of the page, the subtle discoloration of the paper, the faint watermark that might be visible in the right light. There is a reverence in her movements, as if she is unwrapping a delicate, precious gift. The page she has opened to is filled with neat, spidery handwriting, the ink a faded sepia against the cream-colored paper. It is not a story, nor a poem, but a series of precise, almost technical observations. Her gaze traces the unfamiliar script, her brow furrowing slightly in concentration. The language, you notice, is formal, almost archaic, speaking of measurements and bearings, of currents and depths. It is not what she or you might have expected. Her finger, slender and graceful, gently follows a line of text. The words speak of the northern channel and the deepest soundings, of a particular rock formation at the mouth of the western inlet. These are not the musings of a personal diary, but the meticulous notes of someone observing the very waters that surround the Myra, the very landscape that cradles this cove. A map, perhaps, or a logbook of some kind. The discovery is not dramatic, but it is intriguing, a quiet pebble dropped into the still waters of her routine. She reads a few more lines, her expression thoughtful. The entry seems to describe the approach to the cove, detailing landmarks and navigational hints. It is as if someone else, long ago, meticulously charted this very passage, perhaps even anchored the Myra in this very spot. A faint, almost imperceptible shiver runs through her, not of fear, but of a quiet connection to a past she has never known. The words on the page are a whisper from another time, another hand that once held this book. Willow closes the book, not abruptly, but with the same gentle deliberation with which she opened it. She places it back on the cockpit table, its presence now imbued with a new layer of meaning. The single page has revealed not a personal secret, but a practical one, a glimpse into the navigational knowledge of a previous occupant of this place, or perhaps even this very boat. The mystery has deepened, shifted its shape, but remains gently captivating. The golden light has now softened to a mellow amber, retreating higher up the forest-clad hills. The cormorant on the rocks remains a dark, steadfast silhouette against the now peachy sky. The air grows cooler, and Willow pulls a light woolen shawl, draped over the back of the bench, closer around her shoulders. The chamomile tea is still warm, and she takes another slow, comforting sip. Chester, sensing the shift in temperature, nudges closer, settling his weight against her thigh, a warm, purring anchor. The gentle lapping of the water against the hull becomes more pronounced in the growing quiet, a soothing rhythm that permeates the very structure of the boat. The scent of pine deepens, carrying with it the cool, damp earthiness of the approaching evening. Willow's gaze returns to the island, now a dark, indistinct mass against the paling sky. The words she read, the detailed observations of the channel and the inlet, echo faintly in her mind. Who wrote them? Why were they so meticulously recorded? And what other secrets might those faded pages hold about this cove, about the Myra, about the person who came before? She watches as the last sliver of the sun dips below the horizon, painting the clouds in streaks of rose and lavender. The light on the water fades to a silver gray, reflecting the soft hues of the sky. The world around her begins its slow transition into twilight, a time of hushed beauty and quiet contemplation. The question of the book, its origins and its author, remains unanswered, a gentle thread she will carry with her as the evening deepens, a quiet companion to the sounds of the water and the comforting weight of Chester by her side. The late afternoon sun, now lower in the sky, casts long shadows from the rigging onto the water, making the surface of the cove shimmer with shifting patterns of light and dark. A gentle breeze, barely a whisper, moves across the water, carrying with it the faint scent of pine and salt. You watch the interplay of light and shadow, a silent, ephemeral dance that speaks of the day slowly yielding to evening. The air is cool but not cold, holding the promise of a peaceful night. You turn your attention to the small tasks that fill the quiet hours aboard the Myra. Your hands, accustomed to the rhythm of the boat and the elements, move with a quiet competence. You pick up a length of thin line, a halyard that has seen many seasons, and begin to inspect it. A small fray, no more than an inch long, catches your eye. It's not critical, not yet, but you know that small neglects can lead to larger problems out on the water. You reach for the small wooden ditty box tucked beneath the chart table. Inside, nestled among sail twine, beeswax, and various needles, you find a fid, smooth and worn from years of use, and a spool of waxed thread. With careful, unhurried movements, you begin to splice the fray. Your fingers, nimble and precise, work the individual strands of rope, weaving the new thread through the old, strengthening the weak spot. The repetitive motion is meditative, each twist and pull of the thread a small act of restoration. The scent of the waxed thread, a subtle mix of beeswax and hemp, is a familiar comfort. As you work, the only sounds are the soft creak of the Myra against her mooring lines, the gentle lapping of water against the hull, and the occasional distant cry of a gull. Chester, who had been dozing on the foredeck, stretches languidly, a slow, deliberate unfolding of orange fur and white paws. He then settles himself closer to you, his gaze following the movements of your hands with a calm, unblinking intensity. His presence is a quiet anchor, a warm, soft weight in the peaceful afternoon. Once the splice is complete, the mend almost invisible, you coil the line neatly, its loops falling into perfect spirals, ready for its next use. There is a quiet satisfaction in these small acts of care, a sense of order brought to the world within your reach. Next, you move to the galley, the small space feeling warm and welcoming even without the stove lit. You open the wooden cupboard above the tiny sink, its latch a familiar click. You take out a few small potatoes, still bearing traces of the rich earth, and a single onion from the canvas bag hanging near the companionway. Tonight's meal will be simple, a stew perhaps, something warm and comforting as the evening chill settles in. You fetch the cast iron pot from its hook, its seasoned weight a familiar feeling in your hands. On the small wooden cutting board, worn smooth from countless meals prepared, you begin to peel the potatoes. The knife, sharp and well-balanced, glides through the skin with a soft whisper. Each peel curls away in a single, unbroken ribbon, falling into the ceramic bowl beside you. The earthy scent of the potatoes mingles with the faint, sweet perfume of the onion as you slice it into thin, translucent rings. Your movements are economical, practiced, each motion serving its purpose without haste. As you prepare the vegetables, you notice the subtle play of light on the copper pots hanging above the stove. They reflect the muted afternoon light, their surfaces gleaming with a soft, warm glow. You've seen them countless times, these pots, but today something about the way the light catches a particular curve, a faint, almost invisible dent, draws your eye. You wonder about its origin, a small story etched into the metal, a moment from a previous life, perhaps. The Myra holds so many quiet stories, so many silent histories. You fill the kettle with water from the hand pump, the rhythmic squeak and gurgle a familiar sound. Placing it on the cold stove, you decide to light a small fire soon. The warmth will be welcome, and the soft crackle of burning wood is a comforting presence as the light outside begins to fade. You move to the dock, carrying a small galvanized watering can. The two clay pots, one holding fragrant lavender, the other robust rosemary, sit patiently. Their leaves, a vibrant green, seem to drink in the last of the day's warmth. You pour the water slowly, watching it soak into the soil, a dark ring spreading outward from the base of each plant. The scent of the herbs, released by the moisture, drifts up to you, a gentle, earthy fragrance that grounds you in this quiet place. The lavender's delicate purple blooms sway almost imperceptibly in the faint breeze. As you tend to the plants, you look out across the cove. The surface of the water is becoming calmer, reflecting the deepening blue of the sky. The forest on the opposite shore stands in silent majesty, its trees dark and ancient, their upper branches catching the last golden rays of the sun. A profound sense of peace settles over you, a quiet gratitude for this life, for the simple beauty of these moments. You turn your gaze back to the Myra, her wooden hull gleaming softly in the fading light. A small, almost imperceptible detail catches your eye. Near the waterline, just below where the dinghy is tied, there's a faint scratching in the varnish, a name you've noticed before but never truly deciphered. It's not Myra, it's something else, a collection of letters, faded and indistinct, almost swallowed by time and salt. You lean closer, trying to make out the shape of the characters. Leela, you think, or perhaps asterisk Lydia. It's too faint to be certain, an echo of another identity, another story carried by this very same hull. The thought is not unsettling, but rather gently curious. It adds another layer to the quiet mystery of the Myra, a whisper of lives lived before yours within these wooden walls. Chester, meanwhile, has hopped onto the dock and is now meticulously grooming his front paw, his rough tongue making soft, scraping sounds. He seems entirely content, a picture of feline tranquility. You finish watering the plants and place the empty can by the dock's edge. The air is growing cooler now, a definite evening chill beginning to assert itself. You decide it's time to light the stove. The prospect of its warmth, both physical and visual, is a comforting thought. You gather a few small pieces of kindling from the wood box near the companionway, the dry wood smelling faintly of cedar and fir. As you re-enter the cabin, the light inside is already softer, mellower than it was even a few minutes ago. The oil lamp, still unlit, reflects the muted light from the portholes, its brass gleam a promise of the warm glow to come. You open the small door of the cast iron stove. The firebox, dark and cool, awaits its transformation. You arrange the kindling carefully, a small nest of dry wood. Your fingers find the box of long wooden matches on the small shelf beside the stove. You strike one. The sudden flare of light and the sulphurous send a brief, sharp punctuation in the quiet. The flame dances for a moment, then you touch it to the kindling. A tiny wisp of smoke rises, then the kindling catches, a small, bright spark igniting the dry wood. The fire begins its slow, steady climb, a gentle crackle emerging from the depths of the stove. You watch it, mesmerized for a moment by the dancing flames, the way they lick at the wood, transforming it. The warmth is almost immediate, a subtle shift in the cabin's atmosphere. You close the stove door, the click of the latch a soft, final sound. The fire, now contained, continues its quiet work, its presence felt more than seen through the thick iron. Soon the copper pots will begin to warm, and the kettle will begin to sing. You sit down at the small folding table, running your hand over its smooth, varnished surface. The soft glow from the portholes is fading quickly now, the world outside becoming a study in deepening blues and grays. You know that soon you will light the oil lamp, and its steady, golden light will fill the cabin, creating a warm, intimate sanctuary against the encroaching night. The small leather-bound book from yesterday is still on the shelf. You glance at it, a quiet thought surfacing in your mind. The decision to open just one page, to glimpse a fragment of its contents, still holds. But for now, the gentle warmth of the growing fire, the faint, comforting scent of wood smoke, and the soft lapping of water against the hull are enough. The world outside is receding, and the small, familiar world of the Myra is drawing you in, holding you close. The faint scratching on the hull, the almost name, lingers in your mind, a soft, unanswered question that drifts through your thoughts like a whisper of the tide. The late afternoon light, which had held the cove in a steady, silver-gold embrace, now begins its slow, deliberate transformation. You find yourself drawn from the galley, where the remnants of your simple meal are being cleared, to the companionway, and then out onto the deck. A gentle coolness has begun to seep into the air, promising the crisp chill of a Pacific Northwest evening. You lean against the varnished combing, your gaze drawn instinctively westward, through the narrow mouth of the cove. The sea, a flat expanse of deepest blue for much of the day, is now catching the first brushstrokes of the setting sun. A soft, golden sheen spreads across its surface, reaching into the channel, then rippling across the still waters of the cove itself. Each ripple catches the light, briefly igniting, then fading back into the deepening blue. The tall, dark silhouettes of the ancient firs on the headland opposite are now edged with a fine line of fire, their topmost branches seeming to hold the sun's last vibrant energy. The air, which had been still and warm, now carries a faint, almost imperceptible breath from the open sea, a hint of salt, of distant kelp, of something vast and unbounded. The gold deepens, intensifying to a rich, warm orange. It paints the undersides of the scattered clouds that drift lazily across the sky, turning them into islands of apricot and peach. The Myra, with her dark wooden hull, seems to absorb this warmth, the varnish gleaming with an inner fire. The polished brass of the oil lamps on the cabin walls, still unlit, reflects the outer glow, holding miniature suns within their surfaces. You watch as the orange bleeds into a soft, ethereal pink. This is a quieter, more tender hue, spreading across the sky with a delicate artistry. The water of the cove mirrors this transformation, not with the sharp brilliance of the gold, but with a dreamy, diffused blush. It's as if the surface of the sea has become a vast, living canvas, painted by an unseen hand. The small waves, barely more than whispers against the hull, now carry faint streaks of rose and lavender. The silence of the cove deepens with the fading light. The distant call of a gull, which had punctuated the afternoon, is now replaced by the softer, more melancholic hoot of an owl from deep within the forest. It's a sound that speaks of ancient trees and quiet corners, of things hidden and unseen, yet always present. Chester, who had been curled in a tight ball on the foredeck, a small orange sun in his own right, now stretches languidly, his eyes half closed, observing the shifting canvas of the sky with a feline placidity. He seems to understand the subtle language of the changing light, moving with an instinctive grace toward the shelter of the cockpit as the air begins to cool. The pink matures into a deeper, more profound violet, then slowly gives way to the deep, resonant blue of dusk. It is a blue that seems to hold the promise of night, a color that absorbs all other colors, leaving only its own quiet depth. The edges of the forest blur, the individual trees merging into a single, dark, formidable wall. The Myra's hull, which had been warm and glowing, now takes on a more sober tone, a deep, rich brown against the darkening water. The air has become distinctly cooler now, carrying a dampness that suggests the proximity of the sea and the dense surrounding forest. You can feel the change on your skin, a gentle shiver that prompts you to pull your wool shawl a little tighter around your shoulders. The scent of pine and damp earth, which had been subtle during the day, now becomes more pronounced, mingling with the salt tang from the channel. It's a scent that is both wild and comforting, a signature of this secluded place. As the blue deepens, the first star pricks through the vast expanse of the sky. It is a solitary, unwavering point of light, fragile yet persistent. You find it above the furthest reach of the headland, a tiny diamond against the velvet cloak of the coming night. Then another appears, and another, until the sky is sparsely scattered with nascent constellations. They seem to emerge not from the darkness itself, but from a deeper, unseen light beyond it. You remain on deck, unwilling to break the spell of this transition. The creak of the Myra's mooring lines, the gentle slap of water against her hull, the soft sigh of the wind through the rigging, these sounds, which are always present, now take on a heightened clarity in the deepening quiet. They are the voice of the boat, of the cove, a lullaby for the approaching night. The small island in the middle of the cove, which had been a distinct shape of green and gray rock throughout the day, now becomes a darker, more mysterious mass. Its edges soften, blending into the surrounding water and sky. You recall the smooth, water-worn stones on its small beach, the gnarled roots of the trees that cling to its rocky face, and the quiet paths you sometimes walk there. In this light, it holds a different kind of beauty, a silent, ancient presence. The last vestige of the sun's warmth has now departed, leaving behind a crisp, cool air. The distant horizon, which had glowed with the final embers of the sunset, is now a faint line where the dark sea meets the dark sky. The sense of boundless space beyond the cove's mouth is palpable, a vastness that is both humbling and strangely comforting. You think of the unseen currents that flow there, the creatures that swim in its depths, and the distant shores that lie beyond your vision. You consider lighting the oil lamp in the cabin, but hesitate, wanting to prolong this moment of profound, natural twilight. There is a quiet beauty in the world when it is lit only by the last reflections of the sun and the first glimmers of the stars. It forces a different way of seeing, a different way of feeling. The familiar becomes subtly altered, imbued with a soft mystery. Chester, now settled comfortably in the cockpit, lets out a soft, contented sigh. His eyes in the dimming light are luminous emeralds. He seems to be waiting, just as you are, for the world to fully settle into its nocturnal rhythm. His presence is a warm, anchoring weight in the deepening cool, a small, vibrant life in the vast quiet. The blue deepens further, becoming almost indigo, then black. The stars multiply, shimmering with an increasing brilliance. The faint glow of the Milky Way begins to stretch across the sky, a hazy river of light that seems to connect the earth to something immeasurable. It is full dark now, the kind of deep, enveloping dark that only exists far from the city's glow. The only light that remains is from the celestial dome above, and the faint, phosphorescent gleam on the water where the hull disturbs its surface. You feel the slight rocking of the Myra, a gentle, rhythmic motion that is as familiar as your own heartbeat. It is a feeling of being held, of being cradled by the water, even as the world around you fades into shadow. The day has completed its cycle, and the night has arrived, bringing with it a profound sense of peace. The quiet drift continues, carrying you gently into the heart of the night. The last sliver of sun dips below the western horizon, painting the sky in fading streaks of rose and lavender, before surrendering to the deep, soft indigo of dusk. You watch the colors drain from the world, a slow, tender farewell to the day, until only the faint pearly glow of the sky remains, a promise of stars to come. The air cools, carrying with it the briny scent of the tide and the damp, earthy perfume of the forest. The gentle lapping of water against the Myra's wooden hull grows more distinct in the deepening quiet, a soft, rhythmic lullaby that has become the soundtrack to your evenings. Inside the cabin, a hush has fallen, punctuated only by the subtle creaks and groans of the boat as it settles into the evening. You reach for the small brass oil lamp hanging near the galley, its wick already trimmed and ready. With a careful strike of a match, a tiny flame blossoms, then steadies, casting a warm, flickering light that instantly transforms the small space. The lamplight, a rich, buttery amber, spills over the varnished teak, coaxing out the deep honeyed tones of the wood, making it seem to glow from within. Shadows stretch and dance, lengthening with every gentle sway of the boat, bringing a quiet intimacy to the cabin. The copper pots hanging above the small propane stove catch the light, reflecting it back in soft, burnished gleams, like hidden embers. The ceramic dishes with their delicate blue flowers, stacked neatly in their rack, seem to offer a quiet invitation. Everything in this small world is softened, made more inviting by the gentle glow. The narrow berth in the bow, piled with its thick wool blanket, looks particularly cozy, a sanctuary for the coming night. You move with an unhurried grace, each action practiced and familiar, a quiet ballet within the confines of the Myra. Your hands know the exact placement of everything, the weight of the ceramic teapot, the feel of the rough linen towel. There is a deep satisfaction in this rhythm, in the simple, repetitive tasks that fill your evenings. First, you check the small cast iron wood stove, running a hand over its cool surface. A low fire still glows within, a handful of embers holding onto the day's warmth, ready to be coaxed back to life with a fresh piece of kindling. You open the small firebox door, the scent of wood smoke, sweet and dry, drifting into the cabin. Placing a slender piece of cedar kindling on the embers, you watch as the faint glow catches, a tiny curl of smoke rising before a small flame begins to dance. You add a slightly larger piece of oak, listening to the soft hiss as it begins to warm, the promise of radiant heat soon to fill the cabin. Next, you prepare your evening meal, a simple affair always. Tonight, it is a thick slice of dense, wholesome bread baked yesterday, and a bowl of something warm, a hearty lentil stew, simmered slowly over the propane burner earlier in the day. The gentle gurgle of the stew as it reheats fills the air with its savory aroma, mingling pleasantly with the wood smoke. You pour a generous serving into a ceramic bowl, the steam rising in delicate tendrils, catching the lamplight. You carry the bowl and the bread to the small folding table that tucks away against the hull, unfolding it with a quiet click. It's a tight fit, but it's your space, and you've learned to move within it with a fluidity that makes it feel expansive. Settling onto the small wooden stool, you take a moment, as always, to offer a silent prayer of gratitude for the warmth, the food, the shelter. The simple act grounds you, a quiet acknowledgement of the gifts of this life. Chester, who had been curled in a sunbeam on the foredeck until the last rays vanished, now saunters in, a silent, ginger shadow. He jumps with effortless grace onto the small shelf built into the hull, settling himself near the stove where the warmth is beginning to radiate. His green eyes, luminous in the lamplight, watch you with a calm intensity, a faint rumble of a purr beginning to vibrate in his chest, a soft, steady engine of contentment. You eat slowly, savoring each bite, the rich flavors of the stew comforting and familiar. The bread is crusty on the outside, soft within, a perfect accompaniment. The only sounds are the gentle lapping of the water, the soft crackle of the fire in the stove, and Chester's low purr. It is a profound quiet, one that settles deep within you, smoothing away the edges of the day. After clearing your bowl and mug, rinsing them in the small basin with water from the hand pump, you turn your attention to the bookshelves built into the hull. They are filled with a motley collection of books, well-worn classics, nautical charts, a few field guides to local flora and fauna, and a small, leather-bound book that has sat untouched for weeks. This is the book you decided, last night, you would open, just one page. You reach for it, your fingers tracing the smooth, aged leather. It feels cool to the touch, weighty with its unspoken contents. As you lift it from its perch, a faint, papery scent, like dry leaves and old wood, drifts up. You carry it to the folding table, carefully setting it down. The lamplight gleams on the worn cover, highlighting the faint gold tooling that has long since faded. There is no title on the spine, no author. It is simply a book bound in dark, rich leather. You hesitate for a moment, your breath held, a quiet anticipation fluttering in your chest. It's not a fear, but a sense of approaching something unknown, a quiet door about to be opened. This book has been on the Myra since you arrived, tucked away in this particular spot, as if waiting for you. You have wondered many times about its origin, about the person who might have held it before you. With a slow, deliberate movement, you gently open the cover. The pages are thick, creamy, slightly yellowed with age. You turn past the blank flyleaf, past a second blank page, and then your eyes fall upon the first entry. It is a journal written in a graceful, looping hand, the ink faded to a soft sepia. The date at the top of the page reads, August 12, 1947 *. Your breath catches, a small, involuntary gasp. 1947, that's nearly 80 years ago. A shiver, not of cold, but of quiet wonder, traces its way down your spine. This book is far older than you had imagined. You begin to read, your eyes tracing the elegant script. The fog rolled in thick tonight, a true shroud, muffling even the sound of the surf beyond the channel. It clings to the trees on the headland, dripping from the needles, making the world small and hushed. One feels held within its embrace, a world within a world. I lit the lamp early, and the cabin feels particularly warm, a beacon in the gray. Chester, dear boy, is curled by the stove, his purr a constant, reassuring rumble against the silence. You pause, your gaze flickering to the orange tabby curled by the stove, his own purr a gentle thrum in the quiet cabin. Chester, the journal entry mentions a cat, also named Chester. A pang of something unidentifiable passes through you, a quiet echo across the decades. Is it possible that this is the same name, given by another hand, in this very cove, on this very boat, all those years ago? You continue to read, a gentle pull drawing you deeper into the past. The fishing was good today, a bounty of rockfish, enough for supper and to smoke for the days ahead. There is a profound satisfaction in the labor of the hands, in the direct connection to the sea. Walter came down from the cottage earlier, bringing a basket of late raspberries from his patch. He mentioned seeing a lone heron on the outer rocks, a good omen, he said, for the season to come. He has such a quiet wisdom, that man. I often wonder about his stories, about the years he has seen this cove change and remain the same. Walter, another name that resonates, not your Walter perhaps, but a asterisk Walter. The thought brings a quiet smile to your lips. It feels as though the threads of time are weaving together in this small space, creating a tapestry of lives lived in this very spot. You read on, the words flowing like a gentle stream. The sound of the water against the hull is particularly soothing tonight. It feels like a heartbeat, steady and true. I spent the afternoon sketching, trying to capture the shifting light on the water, the way the forest green deepens to almost black at dusk. It is an endless challenge and an endless joy. There is so much beauty in this quiet corner of the world, so much to observe if one only takes the time to look. Sketching like your own watercolors. The similarities are striking, yet not alarming. They are comforting, rather, like finding an old friend in an unexpected place. The sense of connection deepens, a quiet kinship with this unknown person from the past. You reach the end of the page. The last sentence lingers in the air, a soft whisper from another time. I wonder what tomorrow will bring. Always there is something new to discover, even in the familiar. You close the book gently, your fingers still resting on the worn leather. The lamplight flickers, making the shadows dance, as if the past itself is stirring in the cabin. The words have painted a vivid picture in your mind, a life lived in remarkable parallel to your own. The fog, the fire, the cat named Chester, the quiet wisdom of Walter, the rhythm of the days, the sketching, it all feels so familiar, so profoundly resonant. A small sigh escapes you, a soft release of breath. Who was this person? Why did they stop here? Did they sail away just as you might one day? Or did they, like you, find a contentment here that held them fast? The questions are not urgent, not demanding, but rather soft, contemplative queries that float in the air, gathering like motes of dust in the lamplight. You decide you will read another page tomorrow, just one. The thought brings a quiet warmth, a gentle thread connecting you to this unseen presence. The journal feels like a quiet conversation across the decades, a gentle murmur of shared experience. You carefully place the book back on its shelf, a new respect for its contents now settled within you. The Myra creaks gently, a soft groan of wood and rope, as if settling deeper into the water, into the quiet of the night. Chester, having finished his thorough wash, now stretches languidly, his paws extending with delicate precision. He then hops down from the shelf, padding softly across the cabin floor, his tail a low, slow question mark. He jumps onto the narrow berth, circles twice, and then settles at the foot, a warm orange weight against the thick wool blanket. His purr, a steady, rhythmic thrum, vibrates through the mattress, a constant, comforting presence. You turn down the wick of the oil lamp, plunging the cabin into a deeper, softer gloom. The last flicker of the flame dances, casts one final, elongated shadow, and then yields to the gentle glow from the stove, a soft, ruddy light emanating from its small glass window. The scent of wood smoke is stronger now, a deep, earthy perfume that promises warmth through the night. You slip beneath the wool blanket, the coolness of the sheets a pleasant contrast to the warmth of your body. Chester shifts slightly, adjusting his weight, his purr deepening. The sound of water lapping against the hull is closer now, more intimate, a steady pulse in the quiet darkness. The small questions about the journal, about the person who wrote it, about the echoes of the past, linger at the edges of your thoughts, not demanding answers, but simply present, a soft hum of curiosity. You close your eyes, feeling the gentle sway of the Myra, the rise and fall of the water beneath you. the warmth of the stove on your face, the weight of Chester at your feet, the soft, rhythmic sound of the waves. The world outside the cabin has narrowed to these sensations, a cocoon of peace and quiet. The open sea, the vastness of the world, feels impossibly far away, yet held in the gentle embrace of the cove. Tomorrow there will be more pages to read, more quiet discoveries to make. But for now, there is only the gentle drift, the soft lullaby of the water, and the slow, deep breath of sleep drawing you down. The last gleam of the sun has long since vanished, leaving the cove in a profound, velvety darkness. Inside the Myra, the soft glow of the oil lamp casts dancing shadows on the varnished teak, a warm, contained world against the vast expanse of the night. You watch the flame flicker, a tiny heart beating in the quiet cabin, and feel the gentle sway of the boat beneath you. The rhythmic creak of the hull, a low, comforting groan of wood settling into the water, becomes a part of your own breath. A shiver of air, cool and damp, brushes against your cheek, reminding you of the world outside. The scent of salt and damp earth, carried on the faintest breeze, drifts through the open hatch. You rise slowly, a quiet rustle of fabric, and move toward the companionway, stepping out onto the small deck. Here, the darkness is absolute, save for the incredible, breathtaking display of stars overhead. They are countless, sharp points of light scattered across the inky canvas of the sky, reflected in a shimmering, broken mosaic on the surface of the cove. Each tiny ripple catches a star, holding it for a fleeting moment before releasing it back to the depths. The water itself is a shifting mirror, a living sky beneath your feet, and you feel as though you are suspended between two infinities. The air is cool now, carrying the unmistakable scent of approaching fog. You can almost taste the moisture, a subtle dampness on your lips. In the distance, across the dark expanse of the cove, the island is a deeper shadow, a formless mass against the slightly lighter horizon where the open sea lies. It seems to breathe with the night, a silent guardian. A distant, mournful hoot drifts across the water, an owl deep within the ancient forest that rings the cove. Its call is a thread of sound, weaving through the stillness, a reminder of the wild, untamed world that presses in close. You listen, holding your breath, until the sound fades, leaving only the soft lapping of water against the hull and the whisper of wind in the Myra's rigging, a gentle, melodic hum that rises and falls. You lean against the smooth, cool wood of the cabin, your gaze sweeping across the scene before you. This quiet cove, this old boat, this life you have built, it all settles around you like a warm, heavy blanket. There is no rush here, no clamor, no demands beyond the simple rhythms of the tides and the turning of the seasons. A profound sense of peace washes over you, deeper and more expansive than the cove itself. It is not the absence of thought, but a quiet fullness, a gratitude that wells up from somewhere deep within. This place has held you, cradled you in its silence and its beauty. It has offered a sanctuary, a refuge, a space to simply be asterisk. You think of the long journey up the coast, the endless horizon, the vastness of the ocean. The memory is distant now, like a dream, the salt spray and the constant roar of the wind replaced by this gentle quiet. You remember the ache in your muscles, the relentless pull of the tiller, the deep, unyielding loneliness that had, at times, felt like a physical weight. And then this cove, this sudden, unexpected stillness. It had felt like coming home, even though it was a place you had never seen before. A profound sense of belonging had settled upon you the moment the Myra had slipped through the narrow channel, the towering trees rising like ancient sentinels on either side. Here you found not only shelter for the boat, but a shelter for your spirit. The frantic currents that had driven you for so long had slowly, gently, begun to recede. You had learned to listen to the whispers of the wind, the language of the tides, the quiet conversations of the forest. You had learned to slow down, to breathe, to simply exist in the present moment. The decision to stay had been less a conscious choice and more an unfolding, a natural settling. You had watched Walter, his slow, deliberate movements, the kindness in his eyes, and felt an unspoken understanding pass between you. He had offered a space, and you had accepted it, not knowing then what it would truly mean. Now, standing on the deck of the Myra under the vast, star-strewn sky, you understand. This life is a tapestry woven with threads of quiet moments. The scent of wood smoke, the warmth of Chester's purr against your side, the taste of wild berries, the brush of paint on canvas, the turning of a well-loved page. Each thread is simple, yet together they form something rich and meaningful. There is a quiet wonder in this existence, a deep, abiding gratitude for the simple grace of it all. You are not searching for anything anymore, not in the way you once were. The answers, you realize, are not out there on the distant horizon, but here, in the gentle rhythm of the waves, in the steadfast presence of the old trees, in the quiet unfolding of each new day. A wisp of fog, delicate as a breath, drifts past the bow, catching the faint reflection of the stars before dissolving into the deeper darkness. The air grows cooler, heavier with moisture. You can feel it on your skin, a fine, damp mist. Soon the entire cove will be enveloped, the stars veiled, the island a forgotten memory until the sun burns through in the morning. This fog, too, feels like an embrace, a soft blurring of the edges between the known and the unknown. It holds a certain mystery, a quiet invitation to surrender to the indistinctness, to trust in the unseen. You imagine the forest around you, wrapped in the same soft blanket, the trees standing silent and still, their branches heavy with moisture. You consider the small leather-bound book that waits inside, its pages promising a glimpse into another life, another story. Tomorrow you will open it, just one page, you told yourself. But tonight there is only the vastness of the sky, the gentle rock of the Myra, and the quiet contentment that fills your heart. The thought of the book, of its unopened secrets, is a soft hum in the background of your mind, a gentle thread connecting this moment to the next. What stories do those old pages hold? What echoes of a past life will whisper from its bindings? You don't know, and for now, that is enough. The anticipation is a soft, comforting presence, not an urgent demand. You draw a deep breath, filling your lungs with the cool, clean air. The scent of pine and salt is invigorating, grounding. You feel completely present, completely alive in this moment, under these silent stars. The world outside the Myra is vast and dark, but you are held safe and warm within its gentle embrace. Chester, you realize, has not followed you out onto the deck. He is likely curled in his favorite spot by the stove, or perhaps he has found a sheltered corner in the berth, already deep in his feline dreams. His absence is not a loneliness, but a quiet affirmation of his own independent spirit, his own rhythm within this shared life. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of the night wash over you. The gentle slap of the water, the almost imperceptible creak of the mast, the distant, muffled whisper of the wind through the tall firs. They are the lullaby of this place, the symphony of your quiet world. When you open your eyes again, the stars seem even brighter, more numerous, as if they have multiplied in your brief darkness. The reflection on the water is a dizzying, shimmering dance. You reach out a hand, feeling the cool, damp rail beneath your fingertips, the rough texture of the weathered wood. This boat, this solid, faithful companion, has carried you so far and holds you still. You trace the outline of the island in the darkness, a formless shape that holds its own secrets. You have rowed to its shores countless times, explored its rocky beaches and its dense, moss-covered interior. Yet even in its familiarity, it retains an air of mystery, a sense of ancientness that predates your own arrival, and Walter's, and perhaps even the earliest inhabitants of this coast. There are moments, you think, when the quiet of this place feels so profound that it hums with an almost audible energy. It is the sound of life itself, unfolding in its own unhurried way, oblivious to the world beyond this sheltered cove. And you are a part of it, a small yet significant thread in its intricate design. The fog continues to thicken, a soft, ethereal presence that slowly begins to obscure the distant stars, blurring the line between water and sky. The world outside is narrowing, drawing in closer, preparing for the deep slumber of the night. You feel the gentle pull of it, a quiet invitation to return to the warmth and safety of the cabin, to your berth, to the welcoming weight of your blankets. But for a few more moments, you linger, savoring the cool air on your skin, the dampness that now clings to your hair. This feeling, this quiet wonder, this deep sense of belonging, it is a treasure, a gift that this cove has bestowed upon you. It is the peace you sought unknowingly for so long. You consider the gentle sway of the Myra, how it responds to the subtle movements of the water, a living thing breathing with the tides. It has a voice, a personality, a history that is only partly known to you. The faint, almost imperceptible name scratched into the hull, the rolled chart under the berth, the tin of unopened letters, these are whispers of that history, quiet puzzles waiting to be unraveled, or perhaps simply to be. The unanswered questions, you realize, are not a burden. They are simply part of the tapestry, threads that add richness and depth to the unfolding story of your life here. They do not demand an immediate answer, but rather a quiet contemplation, a gentle curiosity that will carry you through the days and weeks to come. The fog has now completely swallowed the distant treeline, and even the closest stars are beginning to dim, veiled by the encroaching mist. The air is cool and still, a hush falling over the cove. Soon, the world will be a soft, gray canvas, and the only sounds will be the close, intimate ones of the Myra, the water, and the quiet rhythm of your own breath. You feel a gentle contentment, a readiness for the deep, restorative sleep that awaits you. The air inside the cabin holds the soft, steady warmth of the cast iron stove, a gentle embrace against the cool breath of the evening outside. You watch as the flickering orange glow through the great dances across the varnished teak, painting the cabin walls in shifting patterns of amber and shadow. The scent of wood smoke is subtle, comforting, mingled with the faint, briny tang of the sea that seems to permeate every surface on the Myra. Chester, a warm weight at the foot of your berth, begins to purr, a low, rumbling vibration that resonates through the wooden hull, a steady counterpoint to the soft lapping of water against the planks. You feel the slow, rhythmic lift and fall of the boat, a gentle cradle on the dark, unseen water of the cove. Above, through the small, brass-rimmed porthole, you can see the first scattered stars begin to prick through the deepening velvet of the sky. Each one a pinprick of distant light, cold and clear, offering a glimpse into the vast, silent expanse beyond the sheltered cove. You trace the lines of the constellation Ursa Major with your gaze, a familiar friend in the northern sky, its bright stars a constant, ancient reassurance. Tonight, the air is remarkably clear, promising a spectacular display as the hours deepen. You can almost feel the slow, inexorable turning of the earth, carrying the Myra and its quiet cove along in its silent journey. The small oil lamp, suspended from a brass hook, casts a warm, golden circle of light over the folding table where your sketchbook lies open. The fresh scent of paper and graphite is a clean, sharp note in the cozy air. Your fingers, still faintly smelling of the rosemary you brushed earlier, hover over the blank page. There's no urgency to create, no pressure to capture anything specific. Sometimes the mere act of holding the pencil, feeling its smooth wood against your skin, is enough. You remember the sound earlier, just as the sun had dipped below the western rim of the cove, painting the water in hues of rose and violet. A faint, almost imperceptible ringing, like a distant bell, or perhaps the gentle clinking of metal on stone. It had seemed to drift from the direction of the small, forested island that sits like a silent guardian at the mouth of the channel. Not a harsh sound, nor an alarming one, but simply, their asterisk. It had lasted only a moment, then dissolved back into the general hush of the evening, leaving behind only the steady whisper of the wind in the rigging and the soft murmur of the tide. You had paused, your hand on the railing, listening, but the sound did not return. It was not the call of a bird, nor the rustle of a creature in the undergrowth. It was something else, something man-made, yet so faint, so fleeting, it could almost have been imagined. You let the memory settle, a quiet, unexamined curiosity. There is no need to understand it, or even to give it much thought. It is simply a part of the tapestry of sounds that weave through this place, a thread that adds a quiet texture to the quiet moments. Chester stretches a long, deliberate arch of his back, his claws extending and retracting silently into the berth's soft blanket, before settling back into a tighter curl, his purr deepening. His presence is a comfort, a warm, living anchor in the quietude. He is a creature of instinct and simple pleasures, his world bounded by warmth, food, and the occasional exhilarating chase through the undergrowth of the forest. You wonder what mysteries he encounters on his long, solitary rambles, what scents and sounds fill his wilder hours. He returns with the same serene indifference, as if he has never left, bringing with him the faint, earthy scent of pine needles and damp moss. You lean back against the cushions of the berth, feeling the gentle rock of the Myra. The warmth from the stove seems to seep into your very bones, loosening the last vestiges of any lingering tension. Your gaze drifts around the small cabin, taking in the familiar, beloved details. The curving ribs of the hull, the neatly stacked bookshelves with their worn spines, the gleam of copper pots hanging above the small galley. Each object holds a silent history, a story of its own, some known to you, others veiled in the quiet mystery of the past. The small leather-bound book, the one you decided you would open tomorrow, rests on the shelf above the berth. Its dark cover seems to absorb the lamplight, a quiet, unassuming presence, just one page, you had told yourself, a small, measured step into its silent story. The anticipation is not one of urgency, but of a gentle, unfolding curiosity, like watching a flower slowly unfurl its petals over the course of an entire day. There is no need to rush, no need to seize the moment. The moments here arrive in their own time, at their own unhurried pace. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of the Myra fill your senses. The distant, barely audible hoot of an owl from the ancient forest that encircles the cove. The rustle of the wind through the pines on the headland, a soft, sighing melody that whispers secrets to the night. And always, the ceaseless, hypnotic lap of water against the hull, a lullaby as old as time itself. It is a sound that has accompanied countless voyages, countless nights of sleep, a constant reminder of the ocean's vast, indifferent presence. You think of Walter, his quiet wisdom, his slow, deliberate words. This morning, as you carried a basket of freshly picked berries up the path to his cottage, he had paused, looking out over the cove, his gaze lingering on the small island. "There's a lot that's seen this cove," he had said, his voice a low murmur, "more than just me and you, Willow, and more than even the ones who came before." He had offered no explanation, no further detail, simply turning his gaze back to the path, his weathered face serene. His words had settled in your mind like a smooth, skipping stone on still water, creating small, widening ripples of quiet thought, more than just me and you, and more than even the ones who came before. It was a familiar refrain from Walter, these gentle, almost poetic allusions to the past, to the unspoken history of this sheltered place. He never elaborated, never offered names or dates, merely hinted at layers of time, of lives lived and stories forgotten, leaving you to ponder the silent echoes that might still linger in the air, in the trees, in the very stones of the headland. You open your eyes again, watching the rhythmic sway of the lamp. The light outside the porthole has deepened to a profound indigo, and the stars are now a shimmering dust across the entire canvas of the sky. The air in the cabin is warm still, a pocket of stillness in the vast, breathing night. You do not reach for the sketchbook again. There is no need to capture anything, no need to impose form on the formless quiet. Instead, you simply are. You are present in this moment, in this gentle rocking boat, in this quiet cove, surrounded by the ancient forest and the boundless sea. Chester's purr has deepened, a steady, contented thrum. He is utterly at peace, his small, warm body a testament to the simple, profound pleasures of existence. You reach down and gently stroke his soft fur, feeling the warmth of him beneath your fingertips. He nudges his head into your hand, a silent acknowledgement, a shared moment of quiet understanding. The hours stretch out, slow and unhurried. There is no clock to mark their passage, only the subtle deepening of the night, the gradual shift of the stars across the porthole's frame, the steady, unwavering heartbeat of the Myra. This is the essence of life here, the gentle unfolding of time, unburdened by haste or external demands. It is a space where thoughts can drift like smoke from the stovepipe, where dreams can begin to form even before the onset of sleep. The image of the light on the island returns, then the faint, bell-like sound. You wonder briefly if it was a trick of the light, a reflection, or perhaps a sound carried by a peculiar gust of wind. But then you dismiss the thought. It doesn't matter. The island holds its own secrets, its own quiet mysteries, just as this cove does, just as the Myra does. And some mysteries are meant to remain, like the unread pages of an old book, waiting for their own time to reveal themselves, or perhaps never to be fully known at all. This gentle, lingering question, this unhurried curiosity, is a quiet companion in the deepening night. It sits lightly in the periphery of your awareness, a soft thread connecting this moment to the unseen layers of time and place. And as the Myra continues its gentle sway, carrying you deeper into the quietude, you feel the world outside narrow, softening its edges, preparing for the slow descent into sleep. The deep night settles into the cove like a sigh, heavy and soft. The world beyond the wooden hull seems to hold its breath, every whisper of wind stilled, every rustle of leaf hushed. You feel the profound quality of this stillness, not an absence of sound but a deepening of it, a richness where faint echoes become clearer, more resonant. The distant, continuous murmur of the open sea, usually a soft background hum, now seems to draw closer, a steady, rhythmic breath against the silent shores. It is a sound that comforts, an ancient pulse that reminds you of the vast, timeless world just beyond the narrow channel. A thin veil of fog has begun to drift in from the ocean, a luminous, shifting presence on the water. You can see it through the small porthole, a milky luminescence blurring the dark outlines of the forest across the cove. It clings low to the surface, a soft, ethereal blanket that smooths away the sharp edges of the night, turning the familiar world into something dreamlike and indistinct. The air itself feels different now, cooler and heavier, carrying the distinct, clean scent of salt and damp earth, mingled with the faint, sweet perfume of pine needles and the subtle, peaty smell of the cove's dark bottom. Each breath you take is full of this quiet, complex fragrance, a distillation of the night itself. Inside the Myra, the sounds are intimate and familiar. The faint, persistent creak of the old wooden hull settling into the embrace of the water, a low, contented groan that speaks of long years and gentle rocking. The subtle whisper of the mooring lines against the dock pilings, a soft, almost imperceptible friction that is more felt than heard. The cast iron stove, though the fire has been banked low, still radiates a gentle warmth, and you can hear the faint, soft ticking asterisk of its cooling metal, a tiny metallic heartbeat in the heart of the boat. These are the sounds of your home, woven into the fabric of the quiet night, holding you in their embrace. You move slowly, deliberately, through the small cabin, each action unhurried, imbued with a quiet reverence for the stillness. Your hands, accustomed to the dimensions and textures of the Myra, reach for the small, heavy brass poker. With a gentle touch, you push the remaining embers deeper into the ash bed of the stove, ensuring they will hold their warmth through the long hours until dawn. A faint shower of sparks dances briefly, orange fireflies against the dark iron, before vanishing into the deeper glow. The faint scent of wood smoke, sweet and comforting, rises for a moment, then dissipates into the cabin air. You close the small, round door of the stove, the soft asterisk clink asterisk of the latch a punctuation mark in the silence. The warmth will linger for hours, a guardian against the cool dampness of the fog. Next, you move to the small, hinged table, where the day's quiet activities have left their gentle traces. The ceramic mug with the blue flowers, now empty, is rinsed with a small splash of cool water from the galley pump, the sound surprisingly loud in the hushed cabin, then placed carefully in its rack. The small, worn leather-bound book, still unopened, rests beside it. Your fingers brush lightly over its cover, a silent promise for tomorrow. You fold the soft wool blanket that had been draped over the back of the folding chair, smoothing its nap with a rhythmic motion, then lay it over the foot of the berth. Each fold is precise, a small act of order in the larger, embracing stillness. Your eyes drift to the oil lamp, its flame now turned very low, casting a soft, golden pool of light that barely reaches the edges of the cabin. The light is warm and living, a gentle pulse in the quiet dark. It flickers almost imperceptibly, sending long, dancing shadows across the varnished teak walls, making the grain of the wood seem to shift and breathe. The brass hooks gleam softly, catching the faint glow, and the air around the lamp shimmers with a gentle warmth. This light, unlike the stark glare of electric bulbs, is a companion, a quiet presence that deepens the sense of peace rather than dispelling the night. Chester, who has been curled in a tight ball on the small woolen rug near the stove, now stirs. He uncurls himself with a slow, deliberate stretch, his front paws extending, claws sheathed, his back arching in a long, graceful curve. He yawns, a tiny, almost silent opening of his pink mouth, revealing small, sharp teeth. Then, with a soft, padded tread, he makes his way toward the berth. You watch him, a small, warm shadow against the dim light, his presence a comforting weight in the quiet. He jumps with an effortless grace onto the edge of the berth, circles twice, kneading the soft blanket with his paws, before settling himself at the very foot, a familiar, welcome warmth against your feet. You feel the faint vibration of his purr, a low rumble that is almost imperceptible, a quiet song of contentment. You prepare yourself for sleep, the small rituals unfolding with a quiet grace. You smooth the worn cotton sheet, feeling the cool, crisp fabric against your fingertips. The small pillow, plumped and reshaped, cradles your head as you lie down. The narrow berth, built into the bow of the boat, feels like a safe, enclosed space, a gentle cocoon against the vastness of the night. Above you, the curve of the hull is dark and enclosing, whispering secrets of the sea. You pull the soft woolen blanket up to your chin, feeling its comforting weight, its familiar scent of lanolin and quiet warmth. Chester's purr continues, a steady, rhythmic thrumming that seems to synchronize with the slow, gentle rocking of the Myra. The boat itself is almost imperceptibly in motion, a subtle, cradling sway on the water, a soft, continuous dance with the ebb and flow of the tide. You feel it in your bones, a deep, primal rhythm that lulls you deeper into the quiet. Your gaze travels to the porthole nearest your head. The fog outside has thickened, creating a soft, milky glow that blurs the world beyond. The dark shapes of the trees on the headland are now only indistinct smudges against the deeper dark, their presence felt more than seen. The air, though still, seems alive with the hushed dampness, the faint scent of the sea stronger now, carried directly into the berth on the cool night air. The gentle creak of the Myra's timbers continues, a symphony of wood and water, each sound a testament to its age and resilience. The faint whisper of the water against the hull, a soft, lapping sound that is incredibly soothing, like a quiet breath. You close your eyes for a moment, then open them again, letting your senses absorb every detail of this deep, profound stillness. The lamp, turned to its lowest setting, casts a soft, dwindling glow, a final flicker before it is extinguished. The shadows lengthen, deepen, becoming softer, more amorphous. The familiar objects in the cabin recede into the deepening gloom, their shapes blurring, becoming part of the silent, embracing darkness. The small bookshelves built into the hull, filled with stories and maps, become dark alcoves of dreams. The copper pots in the galley, usually gleaming, are now just soft, dark forms. You lie there bathed in the quiet, feeling the rhythmic rise and fall of the Myra, the soft weight of Chester at your feet, the gentle warmth of the blanket. The world has narrowed to this berth, this boat, this moment. All thoughts of the day, of tomorrow, of the small, unopened book, recede into the background, becoming faint echoes against the overwhelming presence of the night. The silence is not empty, but full. It is filled with the deep, slow breathing of the earth, the soft sigh of the sea, the almost imperceptible movements of the Myra. It is a silence that holds you, protects you, a profound sense of peace that settles deep into your bones. You feel held by the vast, quiet expanse of the night, a small, warm heart beating within the larger heart of the cove. You reach out a hand, your fingers finding the small, cold brass knob of the oil lamp. With a slow, deliberate turn, you extinguish the flame. the last flicker of light vanishes, plunging the cabin into a profound, velvety darkness. For a moment, your eyes adjust, trying to discern shapes, but there is only the soft, encompassing dark, broken only by the faintest, almost imperceptible glow from the porthole, a milky diffusion of the fog outside. Now only the sounds remain, the soft, continuous lapping of water against the hull, a lullaby whispered by the tide, the gentle creak of the timbers, the deep, contented rumble of Chester's purr at your feet, the distant, continuous sigh of the open sea, a timeless sound that has echoed against these shores for millennia. You breathe deeply, slowly, letting the sounds and sensations wash over you, carrying you deeper into the quiet embrace of the night. The stillness is absolute, yet teeming with life, a profound peace that settles over the cove, over the Myra, over you. You are a part of it, small and safe, held in the deep, quiet drift of the world. The soft glow of the oil lamp, now turned low, paints the cabin in hues of amber and shadow. You watch as the flame flickers once more, a final small dance, before settling into a steady, almost imperceptible pulse. The air around you is thick with the scent of spent lamp oil, mingled with the lingering perfume of the rosemary from the dock and the deeper, grounding aroma of wood smoke from the small cast iron stove. The fire, which had crackled so cheerfully just hours ago, has now dwindled to a bed of glowing embers, a silent, ruby heart radiating a gentle, persistent warmth that permeates the sturdy wooden hull of the Myra. You feel the familiar weight of the heavy wool blanket settle around you, tucking you into the narrow berth like a cherished secret. The worn fabric, softened by countless nights, smells faintly of sun and salt and the clean, subtle scent of the cove itself. It is a comforting weight, a tangible boundary between the quiet world within the boat and the vast, unseen expanse of the night outside. Your body sinks deeper into the resilient mattress, molded to the contours of your form over months of peaceful slumber. Chester, a warm, soft presence, shifts at the foot of your berth, his quiet purr a low, rhythmic vibration that resonates through the wooden frame of the boat and up into your own body. It is a sound as old as time, a primal hum of contentment that speaks of safety and belonging. His breath is warm against your ankles, a small, steady puff of air that whispers of his deep, dreamless sleep. You can feel the faint pulse of his little heart beneath your hand if you reach down, a steady, unfaltering beat that mirrors the quiet rhythm of the Myra. Outside, the world of the cove is utterly still. The wind, which had rustled the leaves on the headland earlier, has fallen silent. The only sound that remains is the soft, persistent whisper of water against the hull. It is a lullaby, ancient and constant, a gentle lapping that seems to breathe with the boat itself. The water sighs a soft exhalation against the varnished wood, then draws back, only to return with another, equally gentle caress. It is the sound of the world breathing, of the tide turning, of time moving forward in its own slow, unhurried way. Each small wave, each soft caress of water, is a reminder of the Myra's steady hold, her quiet strength against the vastness of the sea. You close your eyes and the world narrows further, receding to the sensory experience of the berth, the blanket, Chester's weight. The warmth of the stove, though unseen, still reaches you, a faint, friendly presence. The scent of wood smoke still drifts, a memory of the day's fire. Chester's purr continues, a low thrum, a vibration of peace. The water against the hull, the water against the hull. It is a repeating rhythm, a gentle insistence, a soft, slow sway. The boat rocks, a subtle, almost imperceptible movement, a cradle on the water. It is a gentle drift, a natural motion that has lulled you to sleep countless times before. You feel the slow rise and fall, the soft dip and lift like a breath. A breath. The Myra breathes with the water and you breathe with the Myra. It is a shared rhythm, a quiet connection in the heart of the cove. The sounds of the night, if there are any, are distant, softened by the wooden walls of the cabin. Perhaps the cry of a distant owl, a hoot that carries on the still air, then fades. Perhaps the rustle of a small creature in the forest, a whisper of leaves, then silence. These sounds are not intrusive. They are part of the vast, quiet canvas of the night, brushstrokes of sound that only serve to deepen the profound stillness within the Myra. Your thoughts begin to drift, unanchored, like wisps of cloud across a summer sky. They are not urgent thoughts, not demanding, but soft reflections, echoes of the day. The way the light had fallen on the water, turning it to hammered silver as the sun began its descent. The warmth of the mug in your hands, the steam rising, carrying the scent of chamomile. The smooth, cool feel of the ceramic dish beneath your fingertips, the small blue flowers painted on its rim. The way Walter's eyes had crinkled at the corners when he smiled, a quiet, knowing smile that always held a hint of something unsaid. The small leather-bound book, the feel of its cool, smooth cover against your palm, the faint scent of aged paper and something else, something indefinable, a ghost of a scent that spoke of forgotten hands and distant times. The decision to open just one page, a quiet promise made to yourself for tomorrow. It is a gentle curiosity, a thread of quiet anticipation, but not an insistence. It is a soft thought that floats, then recedes, making way for the deeper quiet. The Myra, the name itself, is a whisper, a sound that holds a secret, a name that suggests looking, seeing, observing, and you have seen so much in this cove, observed so much. The changing light, the shifting tides, the unwavering presence of the forest, the silent comings and goings of Chester, the unwavering presence of Walter. These are the textures of your life here, the threads that weave the fabric of your days. The water against the hull, the water against the hull. It is the most persistent sound, the most comforting. It is a sound that has accompanied your sleep for 2 years in this quiet cove. It is a sound that speaks of permanence, of something ancient and unending. The boat is held by the water, just as you are held by the boat, by the rhythms of this quiet life. The world narrows further, until there is only the warmth beneath the blanket, the steady rise and fall of your own breath, the gentle thrum of Chester's purr, and the soft, insistent whisper of the water against the hull. These are the constants, the anchors in the deep, dark sea of sleep. The edge of wakefulness begins to blur, the sharp lines of thought soften into hazy impressions. Images flicker, not quite dreams, but the beginnings of them. The faint outline of the headland against a moonless sky, the glint of a distant star, then another, then many, a quiet scattering across the black velvet. The Myra is still, the cove is still, your breath is slow and deep. Chester's purr is a soft, continuous drone. The embers in the stove are a faint, secret glow. The oil lamp is out, leaving the cabin in a deep, peaceful darkness, broken only by the faint silver light that filters through the small portholes, reflections of the night sky on the water. You are drifting now on the edge of sleep. The day is folding shut, like the cover of a beloved book. The small discoveries, the quiet actions, the gentle moments of connection, they all recede into the soft tapestry of memory. The world outside the Myra is a deep, quiet exhale, a vast, comforting silence. And as you finally cross the threshold into sleep, a quiet thought surfaces, a gentle current beneath the surface of your fading consciousness. You will remember to ask Walter tomorrow about the name scratched faintly into the Myra's hull, the one that is not her name. It is a soft question, a thread for the morning, as the quiet drift carries you deeper into sleep.
This is the end of today's episode. Did you listen to the whole story? Share your experience in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to The Quiet Drift. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then.